Deni live in 5, 4, 3. Alakazam.
Hello. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you are in the world. It's so lovely to have you back here for the final paint jam. I'm excited about what we've got to share. Just give us a hands up if you can hear and everything's good on your side. Awesome. Okay. Well, it's an early Sunday morning for me. I've just had some coffee, so just waiting for it to
kick in.
I'm Deni. I'm an abstract artist and I live in Sydney, and here you are in my studio. I also love mentoring and teaching students. I've had many come through my studio. I've taken many students on retreats and online classes. You may have seen I've got some unapologetically pink classes out there, and a few other things, as well as a 6-month mentorship. I know some of you might have done some of my courses with me, so it's so beautiful having you here. I love painting. It's one of my biggest joys, and when I decided or discovered that I could put that as the center of my life, everything changed. Everything got better. It's almost like I started living in full color. And then it became my absolute goal, passion. It was just such a drive to bring to other women what I've discovered in myself. And that's why I'm here with you on these paint jams. I'm wanting to spark something in you that can help you. I'm sure that many of you maybe took up painting in COVID, or you took up painting once you finished doing a important job out in the world, making money some other way. I know I've taught so many women that have been very successful in other careers, and then they reach a point in their lives, maybe after kids have left home, or when they've got just a little bit more time because they're not spending as much time in their full-time career, and they dive into color and dive into creativity. And I'm sure this is probably you, and it just lights you up. You can express yourself in a way that maybe you've not been expressing yourself for the rest of your life, or maybe you rediscover something that you used to have when you were younger, and you rediscover it, and it's like the lights turn on. That's exactly what happened for me. And for a long time, I just put color onto canvas and it lit me up. And then when I started to bring in some of the things that I learned through my design training, I was able to really turn my paintings into things that spoke to other people. And that's when I really started to sell. And I got it. I understood that if you have a framework underneath you, it's what allows the freedom to create, to be fearless in your practice. And that's what lights me up, and that's what I want for you. And it's what I'm asked about the most. How am I so free in the way I put paint onto canvas? And it's because I know and I trust that I have something that I've got something that I can call on that will get me past any stage. And that's the thing, we get stuck. We do canvas after canvas and they pile up in our studios, and instead of working on those and completing them, we start a new one, because often the start is the most exciting. And I want to get you to finished paintings. So obviously I can't teach you all of this in these paint jams, but I want to give you some really good points that you can take to your studios that will just help you get to that next stage. So with the Paint Jam 1, my intention for that was to get you started. So many of us procrastinate and don't go into our paint spaces because we don't know how to begin. So if you just have a simple exercise, you grab a color and you think of a mark, you think of a shape, and you just start by doing some simple exercises. You grab a pen and some photocopy paper and you scribble. Do it until something lights you up, and then move onto your canvas or move onto your paper, whatever it takes. But that hopefully will just spark enough that you're not going to procrastinate going there. All you got to think is one color, one mark, and it will get you started. And then when you're started, I know that composition is something that really trips up. Honestly, even the most experienced artists get really, particularly with abstract, but I think over any type of painting, composition can be quite difficult. And I didn't realize that it's my design training and my graphic design training that gave me a inherent understanding of composition. Once I did, I was able to break it down into some really simple areas. And that's what I went through with you with the focal point. It's the quickest way to start bringing composition in, and you can do it at any point. And yesterday, I know that a lot of you brought it in and it was this big area. I really wanted to make it obvious yesterday. Play with it on pieces that you've got going. It can be a beautiful way to really reinvigorate a piece at any time. It can help you focus as well as helping your audience when it's a finished piece focus. So I hope that helps. And I know it takes a little bit of practice in going through it, but it's just a principle that I really wanted to give you. Yes.
I'll turn this microphone.
Ricky, tell me who's out there.
Okay, we've got
Where are you from? I want to know.
Roxana from Chile. She couldn't make it the other day. Yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Hi there, Roxana.
UK.
Hi to the UK. I know
Washington
it's very
State.
late in Europe and in UK and Scotland. There was a
Norway.
few people from Scotland, Norway. Hello to Norway.
Germany.
Germany,
US
beautiful. Oh my
East
God.
Coast, I can see, or West Coast too, but Washington State, there you are.
Beautiful. Hi to everyone in the US.
Calgary, Canada.
Canada.
That's it. Oh, a few more.
And we've got some
Vancouver,
Australians
New
and
York.
Kiwis here.
There is. Iceland again. Hi, Stella.
Iceland. So we've covered the world, which is
Pretty
beautiful.
much.
And
Pretty much.
I really appreciate those of you that it's late for. Relax, get out a glass of wine, chill out. If it's morning for you, then have a cup of coffee or a cup of tea.
Two more arriving now too in the waiting room. Sorry, anyone that was waiting too long. I've been trying to keep up with
Yeah,
that.
we do keep refreshing the waiting room. So I apologise if you haven't got in on the other days, but you will have received links to the replays.
Yeah.
The replays are going to be available for the next 5 days. So you can re-watch and take notes or do whatever you need to do. And for those of you, I'm so happy that you're here on the live because it's exciting having you here. I think it's so much better for me when I know that you're there and you're painting and engaged.
You're better when you're alive. Not dead. Sorry.
All right, Ricky. Right. Well, that's good. Also, the Facebook group. If you haven't, I know a lot of you have, but if you haven't, please join the community in the Facebook group, the Paint Jam community, because it's just a great place to share your work, to share your Instagram handle as well, so that we can all follow artists in the world. I know my feed. I know a lot of people talk about social media. My feed is just filled with art and artists, and I love it. I get the occasional ad, but I just get rid of those, and I've just got my feed with art. That's all I look at. So I follow as many artists as I can. So please be in the group. I look at all of your work in there, and it will keep going, so you can keep sharing. And it's great to be able to see work that has the principles that I'm giving you in real time, and we can see each other and what everyone's doing and get inspired from each other. So if you're not in the group, there's plenty of links to it. Find it and we will welcome you in there.
Yes, there's plenty of people ready to paint, Deni. There's lots of people out there.
Awesome. What I'd like to get you to do so that we are prepared to paint together is I'm going to be demonstrating today my rule of 3. And if you've been in any kind of class with me, I'm sure you will remember this. If you haven't, I'm excited to share it with you. So for today, we're going to be doing a few pieces of paper. And I'm hoping that you can grab 3 different instruments. So if it's 3 different size brushes, maybe having a pencil or a pen, anything like a palette knife, just 3 different tools so that you're able to make different kinds of marks. And then I'm going to be using the 3 colors. I'm not changing from my palette. I've obviously got black and white that you've seen me add in, but I'm going to stick with the 3 colors that I've used all the way along just to keep it really simple, but I'm going to start mixing them. So often this is what I do. I have 3 pots, I have 3 colors, I start off that way, and then I end up making a beautiful concoction out of all of them. And it really brings an interesting palette when you can do this. So that's how I'm going to be working. You choose the colors that you choose. And that's also, before we paint, what I wanted to talk about. We all are looking for our signature style so that when we put our work out there, someone goes, oh, I know who painted that. And that comes from the marks you make, and it comes from the colors you choose. And it can take a while to really find those marks and those colors that light you up. This will happen when you paint a lot. It will just inherently become a mark that you make a lot, and you can look into why is that. Often with abstract, you don't really need to know the why. You just need to know you love it and that you make it and that you can see it in your work. You will gravitate towards a certain paint palette, and that may change over time, but it's important that you go and you hone and you curate what you want in your work. So today, just paint along with me.
Sorry, mute it all.
Today, please paint along with me. Choose whatever you've got. But this is something that I really want you to do in your studios when you're on your own, is choose colors that light you up. And if you start with 3, it can be a good way of just giving yourself that restriction that helps artists so much. And this is about putting our personal touch into our practice. The more we know ourselves, the more we are willing to put ourselves into our work, the more it will resonate with the viewers. And I'll talk a little bit more about this later, but first of all, I just want to get us painting. So I'm going to look at this rule of 3 and how you can bring more of you into your painting.
Over to the overhead.
Okay. So I've got these pages. I'm going to just be using some of these today. This is watercolor paper. It's a little bit bigger than the photocopy paper. And what I've got is the colors that I had yesterday. I've got the beautiful pinks. I've got that tealy green color and a browny black that I've been using. So with all of these 3, I'm going to mix a little bit of them in together. So I'm going to put a little bit of the pink in.
This is so annoying.
Oh,
Can't hear.
Just mute that. I don't know.
can they hear, Ricky? Is everything all right?
Yeah. Just if anyone's not muted, just I've muted all now. But if you could, just double check you're muted.
So I've got my pink here. Please, if there is problems going on, if you can't hear, if anything, put it into the chat and Ricky will be able to see you there. I've put some pink and some white into a separate tray. So I'm just going to create a slightly different color, or just a lighter pink that we've been using. And into that, I'm just going to add a little bit of the brown just to get it a little bit more interesting.
A bit like ice cream.
This is how I often mix my paints, because I've got those 3 and I want to create something interesting, but I mix them all together just to see what interesting colors I can make out of 3 rather than going any bigger than this. I sort of start somewhere like this. I'm just going to put a little bit of this into a new container and add some water. When you add white, it goes opaque. So I often will then just add a lot of water to make a semi-transparent out of it.
Volume.
So this is just pink. Now, when you've got your paper, I'll just put that down on the floor. I want you to grab one tool and make a mark. Now, any mark will do, whatever, just make sure it's kind of big. Can you see that? Do I have to make that colour?
It's light, very light on the white. That's a bit better.
Any mark, just have it take up a fair amount of the page. Put a little bit more depth in it so you can see. As you can see, I'm not really too concerned with what I'm doing. I'm just making sure that I have one mark that is quite large, that is taking up a fair amount of the page. Now, no matter what stage I am in the painting, I often use this rule of 3. So I will do something somewhere quite big. I will do it somewhere else in a different way. And then in a third spot. And I do that as a hierarchy. So I have one big mark. Here I have something different that's a different size, and then I've got it in a third spot. Now, whatever these marks are going to be individual to you, and whatever colors you use are going to be individual to you. But if you just stop there with this, it will help. I find that artists often go too far and complicate the page too quickly. So I'm going to put this aside and then I'm going to use a different color and we'll come back to it. So if you've got photocopy paper, use photocopy paper, but just do your 3 marks with your one color and then bring on a different sheet. And now I'm going to use a little bit of my green. And a little bit of my brown into another pot. That creates a nice muddy kind of green, which I love. And then I'm going to grab another tool. So I used my really little brush. I'm going to grab a bigger brush like this so that I can create different marks. I'll get the paint color. It's a gorgeous greeny kind of yellow. And again, I'm going to create a big area with color. I'm going to do something different somewhere else. And then a little bit in another spot. So I've got this 3 thing happening with that one color. So I hope that you've got a secondary color. And do you see how when I've blended the colors together, they've really lovely
can't hear a thing.
combination of all of them that's coming out. And with that extra water to make it a transparent, you're getting some depth and you're getting some light bits in the work. But more it's the that I'm wanting to demonstrate to you is doing something 3 times in a different way, having it very strongly somewhere else in a different way, and then just another adding piece. What this will do on a larger composition is it will take your viewer around the painting. So yesterday we did the focal point. Now, instead of just having this one focal point, we're going to repeat the same color, and it can be the same mark, which I'll do on the next one, but we're doing it in different places in the painting.
Can't hear anything.
So that the viewer, your audience will look across the painting and they will be led by the fact that it is the same color. I mean, it's very obvious here, but it is something you can work with, and I work with all the time. And I've taught this to many, many, many students, and it really helps stop creating at a certain point. And then we'll come back onto these, but we'll just stop that there with the 3 marks, and I'll get another piece out. Okay, and another tool. I'll get a thicker hog brush. And I'm going to use my brown. And I'm going to create, I'm just putting
Anyone can hear that child we're next to a cafe that's opened up next door. So we're getting a bit of outside noise now. Dogs barking, babies crying.
I'm going to create a series of marks in one spot. And then I'm going to use the same mark, but I'm going to do it somewhere else in a different way. So it's a lot lighter. It's the same marks, but it's just lighter, not as many. And then I'm going to create. So here we've got the same mark. And what this will do is it will give your viewer who's looking at your painting, it'll give them some consistency to find around the page, because you've got this, and you've got this. Okay, they are a little bit different in color because I put a lot more water into some, but it's the same type of mark. So it's going to direct them, no matter what else is happening in the painting, they will be able to find this consistency going across the painting.
Question on the brown. How'd you make that brown?
So the brown is straight out of a tube. It is transparent umber and water. That's all it is. I use it a lot. It's this gorgeous, rich brown. So that's the brown I've been using all the time. Today I'm using the brown. I'm using that pink concoction of a lot of hot pinks, and I'm using the turquoise. And I'm just using those three. I don't want to add anything else in except for black to make more depth or white to make it lighter. Keep it simple, especially when you're doing exercises. It just simplifies the process. So I'll take that away and I'll bring back my first. I'm just going to work on these three just to begin with. So there's the pink, and I've got this three things happening here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab another tool, and I'm going to do the same thing but with a different color. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to add a little bit of the pink into there just to make it a little bit more interesting. And there I've got this lovely mark. I'm going to do that again somewhere else, but in a different size. And I'm just starting to build up my composition with this idea of three. But I'm still doing it with something bigger, something small, so that now the eye will either go to the pink across the page or it will go to this beautiful brown, and it will send our viewer through a story across the page. Now, again, as I say, whatever marks you choose are going to be personal to you. Whether they are, I'm just going to get out another page to demonstrate. They could be a lot more, depending on what you like and what you want to make. It could be something more like this, and you're going to get a big brush out and create some huge mark, and then, and there we've got our three, but that says something completely different because of the color and because of the shapes of the marks. It says something completely different. And then if I instead of bringing on a different color, if I was then to bring on, where's my pencil? Now tell me if you can see this pencil mark, Ricky.
Yep, that's good.
So this is conveying something completely different. It's still doing the three, but it's got a lot more emotion in it. And whatever emotion it is that you're feeling will come through in your work because it's you. We can't help but have it. If it doesn't feel real, if it's not something that lights you up, chances are that you're not expressing something that comes from inside of you. You might be just painting something that you've seen or that you like someone else doing. When you can feel the emotion in your work is when you know you're putting some of your emotion into the marks and into the colours. So how are the threes going? Ricky, can you see the artwork?
A lot of them are paying very deep attention to yours.
Beautiful. And this is how I go about my work. Look, to be honest, I don't think about it anymore, but I know when I break it down that this is a really good way for me to show you what I do at different stages. So I've now grabbed there was the green that I made up. I'm now going into the green that I had there as a fully saturated green, just so it stands out from the rest of the greens that are there. And I'll just kind of keep adding threes to the work. Now, I find, and someone did ask the question in the group, do you work on multiple pieces at work at once? And yes, I always do, because it gives me an opportunity to not overwork something. So I've done 3 things there, I've done another 3 things there, and I'll put that aside and bring on my other painting to do 3 more things too. And they don't have to be in the same area. I have been connecting these big areas together. Now I'm going to bring in something else that's pink and big. There's just an oil pastel to bring in something else. And that's a third thing. So now I've got 3 different things happening on this that I will want to dry before I do much more to. So I've got those 3 sheets, now 4 sheets going that have the 3s going on. But how do we apply that when we bring in our pieces? So I just want to bring on one of my flowered pieces. Just get rid of some of my trays so that you can fully see. So if you've got your painting, and a lot of you did do something similar and you may have already gone over them. Can you see that totally now, Ricky?
With that white bottle. Yep, that's good.
So I'm going to do something similar on this where, okay, I've got this painting, I did do my focal point, but it doesn't have enough story in it. So I'm going to bring in a little bit more of something else with this palette.
So you incorporate your 3s onto this now, do you?
So I incorporate the 3s onto this by bringing in some of my colours. Now, I know that I've used this pink in here, so now I'm just bringing some of the other colours into it. So I've added to my focal point, but I also now want to do it somewhere else differently. And a third place. So I'm starting to get this little bit of a story happening. I've still got my focal point, but I've now got that colour happening in 3 other places. Even though there's this big painting underneath, there is this other element going on now that I'll stop there because I've got it 3 times, but I just build and build and build on the painting with this idea of 3. So we'll go back to one of our other ones. And I'll grab another colour. So So obviously we don't want to just be painting on the white. I also want to start blending the painting a little bit. So I'll bring in and I'll start crossing over into the other areas with this 3. Spray bottle to get that really light. And it just starts building up your painting through this. And if you restrict yourself to 3 things, you're not overworking it too early. It gives you a little bit of space to create and to get a sense of how to lead a viewer around your painting with story. How's everyone going with their creating? I want to know, Maggie.
Yes, Jen up there at the moth pad, painting away.
Hi, Jan. Lovely to see you. Okay, Jan's been one of my Art and Soul students in 2023. I think Jan did it.
Coming in late, sorry about that. Yeah.
Oh, so I wish I could see your work, but please make sure that you post it to the group. I hope you get the idea of the marks you make are going to make your story more real. And the more we reveal about ourselves, the more people see us in our work. And that can sometimes be uncomfortable because sometimes everything that we are is not always pretty. So when you are painting something that looks very pretty, it will help if you balance it by putting some ugly into it. So if you've got a painting that is full of bright pink, this was a good example. This was a painting that it was one of the practice pieces that I did earlier. It was just full of bright pink and light pink and white. And I got this really ugly but beautiful green and went in 3 places. And it directs the eye to these 3 places, but it also speaks more of what I love to balance my paintings with. I don't love my paintings to be too beautiful. I like to balance it with the ugly. For me, I think that a lot of people hide things about themselves in society that they don't think is acceptable. And I prefer to be a 360-degree person. So for me to show that in my work, I have to show the bits that are ugly as well as the bits that are beautiful. That's how I balance my paintings, but it's also how I am in life. So that's how it speaks of me. So I've got these dirty, almost, I'll see if I can bring it up closer because they are very, very, it's an ugly green. It's quite harsh next to the pink, but for me, I love it because without that depth, this doesn't tell a story.
It almost looks like it's poured ink, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's a very transparent color, but it's got a lot of depth to it. And that's when you start putting you into your work, when you're not afraid to show the bits that maybe aren't always that pretty. Or, whatever it is that you feel that you're hiding, to somehow bring them into your work. It might be mess. You might create a painting that is beautiful and everything's in order and everything has straight lines. And then in order to balance that, you've got to go to the bit that maybe is you don't want to show the world, which is when you are out of control and a little bit disordered and a bit messy. So for instance, if I was to get a color, let me just do what I did before because it was easy to demonstrate. I'll just get my big brush. If you were to get a beautiful ordered line like that, it can look lovely, can make you feel very calm, but that tells one story. To get the balance to show the rest is, it'd be lovely if we were like this all the time. But the fact is that a lot of the time life does that. And when you put those two together, it tells a story about the two. We're not always calm. We're not always ordered. We are also this part. Even if we try and hide it, we all have that chaoticness about us. So revealing more about yourself, even if they're things you don't like, is what's going to make your signature style. I mean, there's many ways to find it, but these are simple exercises to start you working out what is the things that you want to say in your work. So I hope you're all enjoying creating. I hope you're all enjoying creating. We're going to come back here. And you know, don't stop. Keep doing your work. Stay in your studios for as long as you possibly can. That would light me up. And do more and more of these sheets. You know, they're really simple exercises, but they light me up. Like, I kind of wonder where I can take this and how much more I can put onto it. Now, what's going to happen, and what happens to people, is they keep going, and they end up at a stage something like this. I have got a focal point, but if you have a look at it, there's so much area of mud and mess. And that's what happens. Typically, when you're doing this 3 thing and you're creating lots of marks, because you're wanting to tell a lot of stories, your painting will get into this piece, this messy middle. It's the place that the reason why I created a course called The Messy Middle is that this place for me is fertile ground. I think of it as the mud that beautiful things can grow from. And this will happen. You'll do all of these exercises I've given you, and eventually you'll reach this place of mud and mess. And it's where so many artists say to me, what do I do when I reach that place? Because that's when I put my painting aside and I bring out a new sheet, because then I can bring on all of these beautiful bright colors. That's why I created The Messy Middle. And I'm really excited about opening the course up again. It's something I so enjoy, is taking artists through this group and through this process, because I know it can really change your work. It can change up how you work, and it can change up the fact that you can finish paintings instead of just beginning it. So The Messy Middle is 5 weeks, and we go through every stage of a painting from the beginning right through to the finish. And I've found that it's the messy bit. It's the messy bit in the middle that makes artists come unstuck. And that's what we spend a few weeks on, is what are all the tools that we've got? What ways can we have of getting through that stage where all the paints and marks seem to blend into one, and I want to throw it out? Well, for me, that's where the juice is, because you've got the stuff that will make your paintings unique. And you've got the stuff that will make your paintings speak to others. Because when you just do a couple of layers, they feel a little bit one-dimensional and bright. And it's through those messy middle layers that we can get more depth and more story into our work. And so because you are all here, I am opening enrollment into The Messy Middle. It's 5 weeks. We've got live calls. And I also have hotspots on those calls where you can send your work in, and I will go through how to get out of wherever you're in, like if you're stuck in a certain point. Every week I paint along. I'm painting along 2 paintings. The last Messy Middle I did, I painted this painting here live, and that will be in the course. So if you want to see how I go about the beginnings to the very end of a piece, this particular painting is in the Messy Middle course, but I will be starting another one from scratch and painting along with you every week with a different theme. We do have a Facebook group for the Messy Middle as well. That is just to the group that's doing it at the time. All of the course material is available for 6 months, and you can do it in your own time. Everything is recorded. The material comes out at the beginning of the week, and you can go through it at your own pace. And you've also got time after the course so that you can review it and have a look at it and be in the group with others that are working through it as well.
Yeah, all the lives that we do during the course get put onto the course
Yes,
materials.
we do the live calls, and they're honestly the live calls that I do in the messy middle is where the magic happens. It's where you can get an artist, a working artist, looking at your work and giving you a perspective of what you might be able to do to take it to that next level. So the hotspots are something that are really special in the call, getting your questions answered, and also seeing, to be honest, it's seeing other artists work and how they work, how we work through getting to the next stage of the painting. It can be just as insightful as seeing your work do the same thing. It's one of my favorite things that I do during the year is this 5 weeks. And I'd love to see you there. I'd love to continue this journey with you. I've seen a lot of you in the group, and I'm really excited about where you're going. Past people that have been in the messy middle have sold paintings through doing this course. So it's a real thing. You can go from painting and having joy with paint to actually making this your life, your career, something that can sustain you. As for me, I don't think I'll ever stop doing it. I think I'll be doing this until I leave this world, and I'm wanting that for you. I'm wanting more women out there lighting up the world and sending their art out into the world. So I hope you've enjoyed painting along today. You may have got your paintings to the messy stage, and actually I'd love to hear about that in the Facebook group. Post your paintings from today, keep painting, and if they do get to that messy middle stage, post them, because I want to see them, that we can get through that together. It's a process, and when you have it, it holds you. You can then go into your studio and know, I'm not going to be stuck because I know I've got a way to get out of this. That's what I want for you. And I really appreciate you spending this time with me. I hope that you've got something out of the live calls. Keep painting, show me the stuff in the group. I've loved doing this with you. I've loved having artists from all over the world. If you do want to know, if you've got any questions about it, please email me or put it into the group, and I will attempt to answer any of them. It's open to everyone from all different time zones. We do make sure that we do a couple of calls so that we get everybody in at a really good time.
Yeah, we do it at Sunday mornings. So it's Sunday morning, and it'll be Saturday afternoon, evenings.
Yeah, we try and make it so that everybody can fit on the live. And if you can't make the lives, then they're uploaded straight away so that you can watch it. So I'll see you all again. Please be in the Facebook group. I will be in there, and I hope you join me in the messy middle.
Yeah. Thank you, everyone, for joining.
Thanks, Ricky, from behind the scenes as well.
Ciao, everyone.
Are we going to put a song on to go out to?
Well, now you put me under pressure. I'll just hum.
No. Put on one of those country songs that I asked for before.
Yeah. Bit of country and western.
I tried. You and me in this moment feels like magic on. I'm right where I wanna be.
Everybody's talking about me, I just can't wait to go. Saying I was gonna be so good, so beautiful. Lying next to you, in the bed with you, I ain't convinced. I don't know how it. A little bit off the table. Come back with the dance. I swear your name sent to this world. What did I do right to deserve you, girl? I can stay here forever. I'll be found if we never ask to leave. just can't wait to go. Saying how it's gonna be so good, so beautiful. Lying next to you, spend with you, I ain't convinced. I don't know how, come kiss me one more time. Alrighty.
All right, beautiful mess on my table. I hope you created. It's been so beautiful. I hope to see you in the Messy Middle. Bye, everyone.